You just groaned. If you want to see the deadly impact of the progressive mind, watch Bernie from last night's Fox News town hall. There he said he wouldn't have shut down our borders to protect Americans from disease, because that would be racist.
If you had to, would you close down the borders?
No. I mean, what you don't want to do right now, we have a president who has propagated xenophobic anti-immigrant sentiment from before he was elected. What we need to do is have the scientists take a hard look at what we need to do. There are communities where the virus is spreading. What does that mean? It may mean self-quarantining. It may be not having public assemblies. But let's not go back to the same old thing. Isn't it interesting that a president who has been demagoguing and demonizing immigrants, the first thing that he could think about is closing down the border?
Imagine how clueless you got to be to say that. As other countries endure chaos due to virus spread from one travel hub to the next, here you have a leading Democrat saying that preventing such spread would be racist against Chinese and Italians somehow. Italians locked themselves down, you idiot. You've heard the phrase fiddling while Rome burns. Bernie's got his head up his ass while his hair burns. Safety first, Bernie. Even for a leftist, Bernie's behind the times. By now, those who call Trump racist for blocking travel have already changed their tune to a new smear because it worked. Now it's, he didn't do it fast enough. It exposes their punitive politics as the designation of oppressor versus oppressed creates suspicion in all relationships, black, white, gay, straight, male, female, undermining cooperation in community, which prevents action to reduce death. How can you expect to fight any threat, be it a virus or a world war, if your leader wants you to fight each other? Funny how Bernie thought it was so noble to say how he'd make a vaccine free once it was available. I say, why not make it available now? As if things magically appear before the socialist takes control of distribution. Take it from me. When a scientist makes a drug that helps the world, a socialist will call him a bigot for taking so long and then smoke it. If we listened to Bernie, Katie, we'd be screwed. Because the border action bought time for us to spread out the emergency, the urgent hospital prep, and actually make some mistakes.
Well, you know how we're always being lectured about common sense. Well, shutting down borders during something that is becoming a pandemic is a common sense thing to do. The president did it relatively soon as we knew what China was telling us about the virus in January. He was criticized for doing so. You cannot, as a Democrat or anybody running for office, be an advocate for open borders where you're just allowing thousands of people to come into the country unvetted and then be taken seriously as a candidate for president who should be in charge, who can do a better job than President Trump and his administration has been doing so far. Bernie Sanders talks about scientists. Every day, the vice president has been standing up in front of the country and the world with a number of scientists and doctors who have been talking about this disease. And the other thing is now the media is gaslighting everybody because if we call it a Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus, they're saying that that is now racist, which in return allows China to get away with not having any accountability for the way this thing happened. Oh, can't talk about how this is China's fault because that would be racist, which gives the Communist Party a pass for censoring information, for not getting us the DNA code of the virus soon enough so we can start working on a vaccine and figuring out how fast it's going to spread, et cetera, et cetera. So this idea that we can't talk about the facts because they're racist now, apparently. It came from China. It's a Chinese virus. We need to deal with it. And also saying that not shutting down borders, but also I should be in charge of preventing the spread of this is just ridiculous and shouldn't be taken seriously.
At least there was the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, actually admitted that what's being done by Trump is essentially good. I think we have this tape.
We had a private conversation, but he said we're going to do the right thing, and you have my support, all of our support, logistically and otherwise. He said everything that I could have hoped for. And we had a very long conversation, and every single thing he said, they followed through on. Every single thing his administration, and it starts at the top, including the vice president, has been consistent with the expectation that we'd repatriate these passengers.
It's refreshing, Dana, to see some kind of unity among people who are from different political groups.
Well, also because so we have a federalist system, which means that the state and local governments, they're on the front line, so they have to coordinate with the federal government. And if you're Gavin Newsom, do you want to fight with President Trump, or do you want to get what you need in order to help protect the people of your state? I mean, they have your economy and all of those things. And I think that when things get this serious and you're dealing with a public health crisis, you can set politics aside if you want to. And in fact, I think also even Governor Inslee of Washington State has backed off of his criticism because they realize that we are all in this together. It's not partisan. And the public health workers themselves have said that the travel ban from China was actually very helpful because it gave them the time that they needed to prepare. So I think that President Trump could have gone further, right? You could have said no one from South Korea. No one from Iran initially, but they were prudent and they waited. And now it could turn out that it was too late or something. Like somebody might be able to make that argument, but this is a fast-moving situation. And when you have the burden of leadership, which means you're going to get criticized. But I think the facts will end up telling the full story.
Yeah, Jesse, it is Bernie does have the luxury of his decisions not mattering.
Right.
Yes. You can't trust Bernie Sanders. We're talking about Bernie Sanders. It's like an arsonist as your fire chief. You don't want someone that starts fires, you want someone that puts them out. You're talking about an international health scare, and he wants to take away everyone's health care. He wants to vaporize the health insurance industry. He wants to lock up pharmaceutical executives who are now racing towards finding a vaccine. If you want to open borders during an international pandemic, that's crazy talk. If tightening the borders saves lives, that's a smart thing. That's not racist, that's rational. Italy did it, they're not racist. They're trying to get a grip on this thing. When Trump was shutting down the borders and flights from China, the Democrats were impeaching him, and they were calling him racist. Yep. They've been briefing Congress for 2 months about this, since December. They've been going out, forming task force. They've been pushing forth with new vaccines, quarantines, everything, on TV every single day. What do the Democrats want to do differently? I don't know. I heard Joe answer that on MSNBC last night. 2-minute answer, no clue what his plan was. I had to watch it twice. I still don't know.
Well, Juan,
Joe knows.
Juan, I seem to remember you questioning whether the travel ban was worthwhile when we first brought it up.
I still think, first of all, it's not shutting down our borders. I hear you guys saying that. There's a difference between containment, which is someplace like Italy, and someone who's saying, I'm going to keep everybody out because I'm worried they're going to bring the disease here. The fact is the disease is already here. Our issue is no longer about somehow containment. As the Surgeon General said yesterday, it's about mitigating the impact of the fact that and trying to slow its spread. We have a situation here in New York. They're now containing an area up in New Rochelle. That's not about shutting down. It's trying to contain the spread. That's very different. So you have a situation where, we had Ebola come in, and then Obama was asked to shut down the borders, and all, of course, the reactionaries said, oh, yeah, shut down the borders, shut down the borders. The medical experts said, no, in fact, that would be ineffective and make it more likely that Ebola would spread.
But yesterday you said he couldn't shut it down fast enough.
No, because the fact is that President Trump knew about this, but was engaged in it's not going to be a big deal. We still hear the same thing. It's not that big a problem. We'll deal with it. It's not going to go anywhere. And of course,
that was after he shut it down.
That he has sacrificed all his credibility on this issue because he's engaged in happy talk. Oh, we're going to have a vaccine in a few weeks.
So should he tell everyone to freak out and panic? Should that be what he says? Like, yeah, we're all going to be in trouble.
No, you want somebody
stay calm.
You want somebody to calm you down,
That's
but you don't want. But lying and misinformation, he's just not good at sort of calming us. He's exciting.
He literally said today,
what's the Democrats' plan, Juan?
I think the Democrats' plan is to rely on the scientists and
so
be
Trump's
trustworthy.
not relying on the scientists?
No, he's relying on himself to say to everybody, oh, you know what, not a problem, go to work.
Task force is
okay, so wait, he shut down the border, which was
he shut down the border. He shut down the Chinese.
All right, yes.